Okay. Welcome to H&D Abroad. I'm Dee, and as part of our celebration of Black Maternal Health Week, I am interviewing other birth workers who are on their own move abroad journey. Just to introduce the channel, H&D Abroad is all about creating information and support for couples that are considering the move abroad journey so that they see it as a plan A for building generational wealth and having a healthier lifestyle. So today, I am interviewing fellow birth supporter and IBCLC Yvonne, who runs New North Baby. She is on her own move abroad journey. We met as part of the Exodus Summit squad. So I'm going to go ahead and have Yvonne introduce herself and introduce herself to our participants today.
Hello, everyone. As you heard, my name is Yvonne, and I'm happy to be here with all of you today. I'm going to have you remind me what I'm supposed to talk about because it went in one ear and out of the other. Just introducing myself and what I'm working on.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, where I am choosing to work towards is Mexico. I have my residency visa there, temporary residency, and part of my rationale for wanting to be there, I realized, especially during the pandemic, there was just a big cloud of heaviness and anxiety and fear that I felt was over the US. And after being in the house for like a year and a half straight, I was like, I gotta get out. So I went to Mexico, to Tulum. And the further that I got from the US, the more I felt this cloud, like I was leaving it behind. I didn't realize it was there until I left. And the sense of freedom that I felt just walking around somewhere else, just I didn't feel that heaviness. And I signed up for more of that. My dream is to acquire property there so that I can host retreats for women, new mothers. Yeah, that idea makes my heart sing.
Absolutely. I know that when I initially reached out to you, I know that the Black maternal health crisis, specifically when I'm talking to birth workers, really resonates with. Um, yeah, we need more information. Black women need more education about taking care of themselves. When we look at the statistics around Black women are dying 2 to 3 times the rate of white women when it comes to maternal mortality, and so many more near miss that we have to find solutions. So many of us have entered this work as part of, standing with Black women, listening to Black women, and giving Black women the advantage of having well qualified people to serve their needs during this special time. When you were thinking about, hey, I'm already doing this work in the United States, I'm making an impact. um, how did you process, I've got this resource, but I'm going to move to another area? A lot of people say, well, what about the women here? How were you able to kind of resolve or answer that question?
Yes. First, I realized that I had to do a lot of personal growth work because I am a lifelong nurturer. I've always been mothering everybody around me, related or not. And what it came down to was feeling like I owed my labor and energy to any particular cause. So, yes, I'm a Black woman and I'm here to support Black women, but not to my own detriment. I can only serve people when I am my most well taken care of, most well resource resilient self. And when I started to frame it in the way of what's going to help me be who I need to be to make the most impact for the people that I want to serve. Right now, that looks like me living in a place where I feel free. I'm not constantly in the back of my mind worried about my safety. And, you know, I, I have to put me first. And I've seen that a lot, especially in the birth work field. Many of us in this field are bleeding hearts. But what happens when you bleed yourself dry? And so I had to
That part.
fix that within myself. And I can still help people. I have the internet, thankfully. I can still support people virtually all around the world. But yeah, really, it was just matter realizing the hesitation I had was really around this internal wounding I had, or this
Mm.
job or this labor I thought that I was supposed to owe the world. Resolving that and then prioritizing my own needs.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I love to hear, that birth workers are seeking that balance, not just for our clients and seeing that realized for them, but reflecting back. You know, it feels like a redundant, example, but you can't pour from an empty cup. Until I actually went abroad, until we started our journey of, residency, I didn't really see I could recognize the need, but to really see it and experience that weightlifting, I think I can serve better myself,
Mm-hmm.
my family, and the community, better when I am whole, when I am healing, when I'm doing my own shadow work, when I'm practicing what I preach.
Mm-hmm.
So, tell me about, your work here in the U.S. What I know that you are, and why don't we start with explaining what is an IBCLC, but you also do a spectrum of birth work.
Mm-hmm. So IBCLC stands for International Board Certified Lactation Consultant, which just means I can help anybody anywhere in the world. And I am here, I call it an infant feeding specialist. So, yes, my specialty, my expertise lies in breastfeeding and all sorts of related issues, but I'm also a specialist in bottle feeding and integrating solids. And how do we help families find the right balance for feeding their baby that works for them, their lifestyle, their health, and their baby's health? I also am a newborn care specialist. I call it Baby Whisperer. That kind of encompasses all the different things that I do. Also, a newborn sleep educator and intuitive healer. All of my work is centered around this belief, this knowledge that how we are parented in the first few years of life and how we parent our children impacts how these little beings grow up to be in the world. And I think a lot of our world problems could be solved if the people in power were more deeply connected to themselves and the people around them, that were emotionally healed to the deepest levels. So I want to help women and parents, but specifically women, how do they heal so that they can then help their children have these solid, really healthy emotional foundations for how they work within the world. All the
Mhm.
different things that I do are all pointed at that same goal.
Absolutely. And I see the birthing time. So we're talking about everything from conception through the fourth trimester, which is that whole first year postpartum, as really a journey that is sacred. First of all, where women should, or birthing people should have the opportunity to reflect not just about how their bodies are changing, but research is showing that their brains are changing, how they relate to the world, what they value expands. And so having the time and I mean, to be honest, the financial ability is where I see a lot of people, especially Black women, struggle. Is I don't have the time to slow down, especially in that third trimester. And then the postpartum time also is really truncated. I call it the myth of the 6 weeks. If you
Mm.
think your body is ready to go full steam back, and I've seen even other people say, I can get back into the swing of things in a week or two, and really spending the time learning about how to care for yourself and the why of caring for yourself. I see the move abroad journey as really being helpful for seeing that. I'm saying that because my clients here in the US are already choosing birthing outside of the US. I mean, several of them
Mm.
were going to Mexico, and I was like, so tell me why. Have you experienced that as well? What are people saying that you've possibly encountered about their choice around birthing outside the US?
Where my clients I would say they're at the phase where they're still learning about birth outside of the hospital inside the US.
Hmm.
So a lot of people are like, oh, there is an alternative option. Or when they're hearing about maternal health and the crisis with Black maternal health, realizing like, oh, I think I'm safer at home. Not only is it better at home, but I'm more likely to live.
Hmm.
And just kind of seeing people where they are. Maybe in a few years, I'll have people who are ready to just opt out of the system entirely here. But here in LA, it's a lot. The home birth is definitely rising, and I love to see that.
Hmm. Yeah, there is. There has to be some cultural shifts, some sharing of knowledge, and seeing that we are doing those things. You know,
Mhm.
the I love to see the I almost hate to say that the black crunchy crowd is growing, that we're seeing knowing where our food comes from is a part of this process. How we care gently for ourselves means that we're also able to think through gentle parenting for our children. So I see this as a transformational time and beginning those conversations. So I know that you're going to be sharing more about how you are moving into the virtual space to offer support when you leave. Do you want to talk about what that process is, how you are working virtually with people in your community that are accessing you, but how you're doing that work in the US and expanding outside of the United States?
Yeah, this is really exciting for me. I started offering virtual support, I think a couple months before the pandemic. So thankfully, I got lots of experience with that. I have mostly done like one on one lactation sessions, a few prenatal breastfeeding and newborn care classes. I'm starting to work on more video based courses. I have a couple. I laugh to myself because there's a breastfeeding first aid class, which is like, what do we do if we're having issues between now and seeing a lactation consultant? I can see people log on at like 3 or 4 a.m. in crisis mode. The crisis isn't funny, but it's funny to me that I can see them log on. But um, I've noticed for me, one of the biggest barriers for clients is recognizing that lactation support can be done well virtually. There isn't any standard training on how to be a good lactation consultant when you can't touch someone. So a
Hmm.
lot of clients I've heard when we bring up the options are like, I'm not sure if it would work. Or maybe they've tried it with someone who's afraid to be on camera, for example. So it's tricky. But I have clients that have been able to see me when there was no one physically in their area because they live somewhere rural. I've seen people in completely different countries where, maybe breastfeeding wasn't the norm, or you don't have any milk, just give the baby formula, but she really, really wants to try, and there's no one within their sphere that's actually willing or able to help them. So I've been really excited to find ways that can still help people in the ways that they need it and will allow me the flexibility to help people no matter where they are and no matter where I am.
in thinking about this, I watched a video. There's a young lady that had moved to Japan, and so she's there with her partner, um, but she's alone. So getting kind of to the why would I need birth support, especially if it was virtual? Why do I need information? Education is what she talked about, and what she said was, um, this is a time that is traditionally community where, you'd have a big sister or an aunt or a cousin or grandmother that would kind of come along with you. But when you are living abroad, sometimes you may not be in places in community. Can you share how you create that bond, that community, that people that are choosing the move abroad process either temporarily or as a lifestyle can tap into you as a resource to create or fill that need?
Absolutely. That is something that has definitely been on my mind as well, even as a single woman moving alone to a different country. Having community is important. We in physically in our space, we have a weekly breastfeeding and mindfulness support group for parents to join. We talk about whatever's coming up based on what is going through everyone's minds that day. Sometimes when they walk in, I'll ask, what's on your mind and heart this week? Sometimes we do
Mhm.
meditations or we'll do some physical movement, and finding particular traits or interests to connect with people on
Mhm.
is helpful. So instead of thinking about like, how can I meet people or how can I find community? That is a big, undefinable task. Okay, what are the things that interest me? Where am I in life? If you are, just to use a on the fly example, if you're into books, people who like books were at bookstores. So if we have babies other places, where do pregnant women go?
Mhm.
I might even look to see like, okay, are there midwives? Are there OBGYNs? There's going to be other pregnant people there. But just being in the room with them will help you meet people versus like Googling how to meet new moms or pregnant women, pregnant people in my area.
Absolutely, absolutely. You want to share, and sometimes um, you are careful not to overshare, but when you're in these spaces with other parents, they get it. Like, yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
want to share that my baby's poop changed from yellow to green, and and be in a community where people understand and celebrate with you. Or, I was really shocked to hear that 5 to 6 hours is what a pediatrician considers sleeping through the night. And to have families just celebrate meeting that milestone as their babies grow, and knowing that they're feeding them well, that they're caring for them, that community is so valuable. How are you leveraging community just in your move abroad journey? Because what I'm recognizing is that maybe birth workers, we that are moving abroad, maybe we need our own community as well.
Absolutely. Um, that is one area where I have been taking my own advice in terms of meeting people. I'm really into dancing, and when I go places, I'll look to see like where are people going to dance. It requires me putting myself out there in general, but
Mhm.
when I'm in that mode, I'll go and introduce myself to someone, or if we're dancing, it's socially acceptable to like go up to somebody and dance with them generally. So finding warm leads, expat groups on Facebook are a big point of connection for me, just meeting other people. Um, that has been a soft way for me to enter a new city. So if I meet someone, I'm in a new space where culturally it may not be exactly what I'm used to, but if I can meet an expat from the same country in this place, makes it feel a little bit safer. And then they can give me suggestions for things to look into as I start to get my feet wet and immerse myself in the culture more.
Mhm, mhm. One way that we are trying to create community for Black women is the Exodus Summit group. They have been super helpful. I have used the search window to look for other Black women that are pelvic floor therapists, that are doulas, that are, that are lactation counselors like you, just getting an opportunity to see because people are sharing in those spaces what they're doing and where they're going. That helps me to feel like, okay, at least if I know one person that can that
Hmm.
can definitely open the door. And also the expat app is another great resource because you can post just like um, in other social communities, but you can sort in different ways and join sub communities within that app. So that's another resource where I found mental health providers. Just, I mean, it's a beautiful resource. It's harder to do a new thing when you feel like you are pressing into those headwinds alone.
Hmm.
And that is what community, I see community as in our journey, is you're not doing it alone. Someone is doing a similar thing either in the same place around the same timing, or are are going to they are expressing some of the same uh, concerns or fears as they do it scared. And
Hmm.
it's okay. It's okay to do it scared, but you're not doing it alone. So, um, so talk about all the ways people can meet you in the social spaces that you are available in.
Yeah. Before I do that, I had another comment. Um,
Yeah.
on the notes of, more community, I met someone in Mexico at like after a dance class that I was at. She came up to me and was like, "I had to introduce myself. You look like you're an expat too." And I was talking to her about what I do, and I was expressing that, I want to be able to move to Mexico so I can have this time to unwind and just live a slower life. But all of my income right then was in person. And she's like, "Well, why don't you just do that here?" And it had not clicked to me to do the same work. And that for me just opened up a lot of doors of like, okay, if I did open up a lactation consulting thing, what would I need to know? So it was really helpful having that community, somebody with a different perspective, but at a similar point in their own journey, was able to open things up widely for me.
Hmm.
Let's see, some of the places you can find me on the interwebs. I am getting better at becoming more consistent with social media. That is my 2023 goal. Uh, on Instagram, you can find me at New North Baby, New New North like the direction, baby. And TikTok, we are New North Natal, Natal, New North Natal. Website, same thing, newnorthbaby.com. You can find all of our classes, our support groups, virtual and online at that website. And I think that's it.
Absolutely. I just hearing your story has made me a little bit more confident in looking at what virtual opportunities exist. People are choosing moving abroad at so many different stages of their life, and we'll be talking more with I've got a doula that we're going to be talking with this week. I've got someone also that is sharing about journaling and how that is super helpful as you're preparing for birth and postpartum to
Mm.
kind of understand your own changes. And then we're going to talk to three mamas that have decided to birth abroad in Mexico, um, uh, Colombia, and Tanzania. So I am
Exciting.
super excited to be sharing as a birth worker during Black Maternal Health Week, starting April 11 through 17. And all of these folks are doing birth work and on their move abroad journey or have already settled outside the country. So thank you so much, Yvonne, for joining today. And this is H&D Abroad. We hope that you like, share, and subscribe to our channel, but also to all the amazing people that we host, including New North Baby and all of the socials that Yvonne shared. Thank you all so much for joining us today. Bye for now.
Thank you for having me.